Back to the It's Too Easy podcast with Jake, and I'm Zach. Ready for another round of the playoffs. We got the national championship for college football. So, Jake, kick us off. What are your thoughts on that game?
Yep, Natty, Indiana, and Miami. Indiana absolutely broke my heart in that game. It was a tough one to swallow. Just mistakes piling up for Oregon. I think if we minimize the two fumbles, pick six, and block punt, I think we find ourselves in that game. But it is what it is. Ducks got absolutely rolled, and they're gonna have to come back stronger next year. But in terms of Indiana, Miami, I would expect no different from Indiana in this game, to be honest. Beating Alabama 38-3, and then beating Oregon 56-22. I'd expect this is going to be a stomp. And the line right now is at 8.5. I'm going to end up taking two plays for this game. I'm going to take Indiana down to 6.5 first, just to play a little bit safe and probably put a little bit more units on that one. And I'm also going to take Indiana minus 13.5 in that game, just because with the way this season's been going, the way this postseason's been going for them, I just expect them to not have any issues here with the Miami team that has been good towards the postseason, but I just think they're going to be way too much for them. I think that Indiana is not going to make any mistakes in this game. I expect that Miami is going to make a few mistakes, and I don't think Miami's defense is going to be set up kind of the same way that Oregon's defense just ended up with lopsided field position. So yeah, I really like Indiana minus 6.5 and Indiana minus 13.5. Probably get that at some plus money.
Yeah, who's your daddy? Indiana's been going crazy.
Yeah.
Ready for them to put belt to ass with Miami as well. I think that it's going to be a little bit different story because you're not going to start with a pick six, fumble at your own 4-yard line, basically giving them 21 to start. So it's going to be a little bit more pressure on the offense to actually dominate the line of scrimmage, as well as stopping it defensively with a Miami team that's had a really good O-line of a bunch of big dudes, and they've been able to pound the rock to keep it interesting. I do still think that Indiana's going to end up covering 7 points, so I like buying it down to 6.5 as well. I'm expecting it to be probably a 14-point game that Indiana should cover. But interested to see how it goes because it is in Miami. And so
true.
Miami's got the home crowd. They got home field advantage for the most part. But it's also interesting that Fernando Mendoza is from half a mile away from the stadium in Miami, Florida as well. So obviously he's just one player on the big team compared to the team going crazy in Miami. I think it'll be interesting. I think you can get either side probably with better value than what it's starting out at. If Miami gets the ball to start, they can go get 3 or 7, and you can get Indiana at lesser points. If you like them. And on the other side, if Indiana goes up 7-0 real quick, you can probably go catch Miami plus 14 if you're liking something on that side.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that wraps up for the Natty and the college football season. So looking forward to seeing what next season brings. But we'll move right over to the NFL. First game on the slate, we got the Bills and the Broncos. Repeat matchup of last year in the first round of playoffs. This time, though, it's in the divisional round. This is going to be a super interesting game because I think since last year, the Broncos offense has gotten a lot better in terms of just fluidity and being able to close games. And Bo Nix has been able to get a lot of reps under his belt now. So, and I also think the Bills' defense is a little bit different. I think their defense isn't quite as good as they were last year. But obviously, they don't have to run into Kansas City this year, so that's going to be a different tale of the tape. I'm going to stick with the Broncos on the money line. I think that, since last year, they've just added too many pieces on the defensive end. They're going to be able to corral Josh Allen a little bit. And I'd imagine with the way the Bills' defense has been this year, as long as the Broncos' D can outperform them, I do think that the Broncos' offense is going to be able to get something going. And feels like they've been holding back the past few regular season games. So I'm looking forward to seeing this team play. It is at Mile High, tough place to play. So I'm going to ride the Broncos money line in this game. Don't absolutely love it. The line has shifted all over the place in this game. It started at -1 or -1.5 for the Bills. And today I saw a Broncos line at -1.5. So I'm very curious to see where that winds up pregame. But if you can get the Broncos plus money, then I would definitely look at maybe Broncos plus 3.5 in this game. Would be a sure play. But I'm going to take the money line. I'd really like to see this Broncos team win the Super Bowl this year. And this would set up a pretty fun matchup in the AFC Championship game. And hopefully we'll see the Broncos against maybe the Bears or the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. It'd be pretty cool to get back to that Oregon quarterback versus SC quarterback in the Super Bowl. I'd love to see that. So yeah, I'll stick with the Broncos on the money line.
Yeah, I'm actually taking the Broncos money line as well. I think that the Bills looked what we kind of expected going into Jacksonville and going on the road. Defense started kind of shaky and then ended up having a couple turnovers, which ended up sealing the game for them. We knew Josh Allen was, if he was the last one with the ball in his hands, he was going to go win the game. So that's exactly what we saw. Trevor Lawrence got it with, I think, a minute and a half, minute 50, through a tipped pass pick, but it was a bad ball. So, like I said last week, don't love teams that are going into the playoffs on a huge win streak. One of them went down being the Jaguars to the Bills. But I do think that Bills team defensively has been piss poor all season long, as well as the fact that I've been calling for Sean McDermott's head for like 3 or 4 years now. I think he's terrible. He's just getting bailed out by having Josh Allen on the team, James Cook as his running back, and they've been pretty healthy for the most part up until this season. So we'll see how it goes offensively for them. They only have 3 wide receivers currently on the depth chart that are healthy. Keon Coleman's been in and out of the lineup with issues with the team in the last 5-6 weeks of the year. And then we watched Shavers go down with an ACL injury. Gabe Davis went out with an ACL tear as well. So they're down to Khalil Shakir, Brandon Cooks, I believe they added, as well as Keon Coleman. Obviously, they have good weapons and good threats in Kincaid and Knox at the tight end position. They run the ball well, and Josh Allen can get it done with his feet. But I just think there's too much going against him health-wise, coaching-wise. The Broncos have been 8-1 at home this season, getting it done, taking care of business. Should be a little bit healthier coming off of a bye week, so I could see them starting slow, in which case you might be able to get the Broncos at +4, something along those lines, which I think would be great. But I do think Broncos probably come away with the win as well, so I like the money line play.
Yeah, for sure. Moving right along, we got the Niners and the Seahawks. Another super interesting game that we've seen twice this season, once at the beginning of the season and one in the final game. Right now the line's at 7. And personally for me, I just feel like that's a little bit too much in this game. Seahawks being 7-point favorites. They are at home, so that is going to be a good thing for them. But I just see 7 points being too much. I do think the Seahawks will likely win this game, especially due to the injury of George Kittle and the status of Fred Warner being unknown still. I think that their offense is going to have a little bit of an easier time with the Niners defense than the other way around. But I still think 7 points is too much. I'm going to buy the Niners up to 7.5 in this game and take it. Like I said, I still think it's going to be a really tough game for them to win. But with the way this offense has been playing towards the end of the season, it's going to be hard for the Seahawks to replicate that defensive effort twice in a row against this Niners team. So I see this one being a shootout and being a close game in the end that could probably end on a game-winning field goal. So I think the Niners plus 7.5 will be my play there.
I'm taking the Niners plus 7.5 as well. I feel like they may win this game. They did already win in Seattle earlier this season. So they have the confidence knowing that they can get it done. It is a big blow that there's no Kittle, but you still got McCaffrey out there. Ricky Pearsall is supposed to be healthy. Juwan Jennings is supposed to be healthy. Kendrick Bourne's been phenomenal. Demarcus Robinson had a huge game for him in the last matchup. So it'll be interesting to see how the offense performs. They obviously laid an egg a couple weeks ago at home against Seattle for the 1 seed on the line. So we'll see how it plays out this week. I think Seahawks coming off rest is going to be helpful for them defensively. Offensively, I think it could cause some issues because Saleh's really good at eliminating something to make it hard for an offense to go win you the game, and I think that's going to be the run game. It's been hit and miss all year. They haven't been running it surprisingly well. I think they're getting under 4 yards per carry between Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, but they are consistent at pounding the rock, which is how you keep games close and have a chance to win. And if it comes down to it, I think that they may pull it off by around that 3-point mark. But I would not be surprised to see the Niners win either, so I do like plus 7.
Yeah, love that. Then we move on. Texans and the Patriots. I believe right now the Patriots are 2.5 or 3-point favorites in this game. I'm not sure exactly where that's going to land. But personally, I think the Texans defense has been by far the best in the NFL this year. And they're right in this super long win streak and looked incredible against the Steelers in this last game. And I expect no different from this defense in this game. I think that they're going to be able to keep Drake May in check, and he's just not going to have as many open receivers as he's had in previous games. The Chargers defense was able to do a pretty good job against them in that win last week for the Patriots. But obviously the Chargers O-line was just brutal to watch. And Herbie obviously wasn't making all the correct decisions. Wide receivers weren't getting open. So kudos to the Patriots defense. We've been talking about them being a sleeper all year. I think this is going to be another defensive matchup. Defense on defense, they both stack up well against each other's offense. But I expect this Texans defense to make a couple big plays and put them in position to at least keep this game close. So I'm going to take the Texans plus 3.5 in this game. I'm just going to ride with what I think has been the most impressive defense probably in the past 10 years. Up front, it's incredible. And in the secondary, I don't think there's anybody that really comes close. Having Stingley, Bullock, and Petrie. I think Petrie is probably one of the most slept on DBs in the entire league. The dude's an absolute baller. And I love him, man. He's been incredible to watch this year. And I expect them to make big plays. This team on defense has everything going for them. Then on the flip side, you got the Patriots. They've been playing extremely well this season. But this is a team that's just so hot. I'm not sure how they're going to look against a defense that's just this incredible. So I'm very curious to see where this one lands. Weather may play a factor in this game as well. So Texans may not be suitable for that weather. But I still think it's going to come down to defensive big plays. And I think the Texans defense has a better chance at making those big plays. So I'm going to stick with the Texans plus 3.5.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning on the same play. I think I may end up taking the Patriots money line just because they're at home. They got a little bit of confidence last week, obviously going against the worst offensive line in the league, or arguably the worst compared to the Raiders. Who knows? Herbie had probably 5 plays all game that he had more than 3 seconds to get rid of the ball. And other than that, he was getting popped constantly. So their offense wasn't able to do much, but their defense held up. Texans have a better defense. So if anything, I would expect it to be even better in favor of the Texans. But the Texans also can't run the football. And now they're without their top target. Nico Collins is out for this game. So I'm going to take the Patriots on the money line. I don't love it because I do think the Texans can give good field position. Higgins stepped up. Noel stepped up. Christian Kirk had a phenomenal game for the Texans this previous game against the Steelers. So a little bit different defense going against Christian Gonzalez and the rest of the Patriots defense that can lock down the young receivers. But I am going to take Patriots on the money line. But part of that's also Texans are on a 10-win streak, and I hate the win streaks. So I'm expecting them or the Seahawks to go down. So I like the Patriots on the money line and Niners obviously with the points.
Yeah, right on. And then the final game, I'm super back and forth on this one. We got the Rams and the Bears. Yeah, super interesting game. It's in Chicago. I know Chicago's getting some snow and it's really cold right now and super windy. And I think that could seriously cause some issues for this game. So I'm curious to see which offense is going to be able to step up and prepare for the conditions better. I believe the Rams are 2.5 or 3-point favorites. I'm not exactly sure where that lies right now on the road here though. And yeah, I'm still a little bit uncertain about whether I want to take the Bears plus 3.5 or the Rams minus 2.5, just because this is another one of those games where it's going to come down to making plays, and Chicago is going to have that home field advantage, and I think their defense will be able to step up against this Rams offense that has been struggling the past few weeks. But then on the flip side, are the Bears going to have to manufacture another big comeback? Because if they are against this Rams team, I have a tough time seeing them getting it done. So I would say this is definitely a game to live bet. I'm probably not going to take it pregame. If I had to lean on anything, I'd probably lean on the Bears plus 3.5, just because I think this could be another super defensive game. And yeah, I just trust that this Bears team is going to be able to get it done at home. Even if they don't win, you'll have that 3.5-point marker. So hopefully they'll be able to at least keep it close. But then, yeah, live bet I think is going to be the way to go. If the Rams get an early score, then you can probably get really good money on the Bears plus like 10.5, and I think that will definitely be the play that I look for, because I do think this is going to be a close game. But if the Bears score first, then you'll probably have really, really good money on the Rams money line at that point, just because it's going to be such a huge swing. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what happens in this game. I'm really rooting for the Bears to get it done. Just like I said, I'd love to see maybe a Bo Nix, Caleb Williams Super Bowl. I think that'd be a pretty fun game to watch. So leaning on the Bears, not exactly sure what's going to happen, but I'm definitely going to look for a live bet in this game.
Yeah, if I had to take a live pick, I'd go Bears plus 4. If you can catch them at plus 8, I think that would be a safe play and a win. I saw a stat that teams that play in a dome going on to play on the road in under 20-degree weather are 1-15 in the playoffs. Rams play in a
Yeah.
dome, and they're going to play a 19-degree Soldier Field for Chicago, who's going to be hyped after coming back last week. So if there's a play, I'd probably go with the Bears +4. I would even consider waiting and trying to get it at +7. I do think that the Rams will have a lead at some point, whether that's 10-7 or something different. Kind of imagining something around 28-24 final, maybe 24-17. So I don't think it'll be much more than a 7-point game. So if you want to buy that up, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I think live betting is going to be the play for the week. But I am rooting for Matty Ice still. He also going from a dome to play in cold weather himself is 1-8 in games under 30 degrees. And McVay's also 1-7. And so that's interesting. Something to think about. Definitely makes me lean Bears. But I'm never going to go against my guy, Matt Stafford. So I'm going to take Rams money line, but I do like the live bet play on the Bears with the plus points.
Yeah, right on. But yeah, that wraps it up for the Natty week and NFL divisional round. So we'll see what happens. Looking forward to it. We'll get back to you guys next week with probably another quick video because we'll be down to the AFC and NFC Championship games and then before the Super Bowl. So hope you guys have a great week. Best of luck to your favorite teams, and we will see you back hopefully next week for some AFC Championship, NFC Championship game picks. Peace!